Destiny, Bungie's magnum opus, the latest and biggest release from a studio which has produced a chain of massive hits. But where did this success originate? Halo wasn't the beginning, it was the start of Bungie's second act. Their first was a decade as an independent studio, a part of their history that's crucial to understanding who they really are. What is Bungie's story? It's one of metamorphosis, of a niche developer that turned into one of the biggest success stories in gaming, but only by turning their back on their original fans. Let's take a look at the prehistory of Bungie. Meet Alex Seropian, a maths student at the University of Chicago whose passion is making games for the Macintosh.
I decided that I really wanted to have my own business. I had done a lot of programming, I was really into games, so I thought, well, gee, this sounds like a great idea. I'll try to make a game and sell it.
His first is just a freeware Pong clone. But his second, Operation Desert Storm, is more sophisticated. This action game ends with a boss battle with Saddam Hussein's giant head, like the real Gulf War, from which it drew inspiration. Desert Storm is released through Alex's newly founded company, becoming Bungie's first commercial product. Meet Jason Jones.
I was taking an artificial intelligence class, and Jason was in that class. He had a way cooler computer than I had, which really pissed me off.
The two classmates discover a common interest in making games. Jason has written one of his own for the Apple II, and is rewriting it for the Mac. Alex sees an opportunity for Bungie's next release.
So, we just got to talking and thought maybe we should try partnering up.
Bungie is now a duo, with Jason writing the game and Alex handling the business and marketing. They release Minotaur, packing discs into boxes by hand in Alex's basement apartment. Though not a major hit, it sells a modest 2,500 copies. Minotaur is something of a pioneer. It's an exclusively networked multiplayer game, in an era before most computers are networked. Alex and Jason are among the first developers to recognise the potential of multiplayer gaming. The joy of playing with friends is something Bungie will never lose sight of. After hiring a friend, Colin Brent, as their graphic artist, the next project is an important milestone, their first-person shooter. Pathways into Darkness is the story of a Special Forces expedition through the interior of a Mayan pyramid to destroy an elder god, and features a real-time 3D engine inspired by Wolfenstein. But despite surface similarities, it's a very different game. Bungie merges the fledgling FPS genre with the trappings of adventure games, inventory, puzzles, auto-mapping, conversations, to create an unusual hybrid. Pathways is Bungie's first hit. It's the most technologically advanced game on the Mac platform, and despite its brutal difficulty, sales reach 7 figures, with Macworld magazine proclaiming it RPG of the Year. Bungie now has a following.
It made us enough money that we could start paying a few people. That's when we got in a real office.
The atmosphere at Bungie is more like a frat house than a workplace. Young men playing games and eating pizza, working long into the night for months on end. 14-hour days are commonplace. The team plans its next title. After beginning, then abandoning a Pathways sequel built on the same technology, they start again from square one, developing a Doom-inspired engine for a new game. And when it's finished, the result is a masterpiece. In 1994, Mac gamers don't have much to feel good about, but they, and only they, have Marathon. Unlike most of the copycats that followed in Doom's footsteps, Marathon is no weak imitation. It's ambitious, environments more dynamic and vertical than Doom's, computer-controlled friendlies to fight alongside, the first implementation of mouse look 2 years before Quake, and network multiplayer with tailor-made maps.
I don't think we really knew how important net play was going to be until we set that up and took it to Macworld, and there were just lines.
But the biggest difference is the story. Marathon's narrative is intricate, told through logs and messages from other characters. It's a long way ahead of the inane stories in most games of the era. It has memorable characters, twists and turns, and it provides the player with a shifting series of meaningful objectives throughout the game. Thanks to lead writer Greg Kirkpatrick, who with Jason Jones also designs most of the maps, the elements of Marathon, with its complex alien cultures, detailed science fiction backstories, and erratic AIs, are so conceptually rich that Bungie will be unable to resist returning to them again and again. 2 sequels follow, both well received. Marathon 2 adds improved graphics, a diverse selection of net play modes, and later becomes the first Bungie game to get a Windows port. The trilogy is buttoned up with Marathon Infinity, which Bungie contracts out, more on this later, to focus on their next project. This time, they enter new territory, with a real-time strategy game with no resource gathering, no building, no micromanagement, only engagement. The genre is real-time tactics, and the game is Myth. With simultaneous Mac and PC releases, it's their biggest hit to date. The game is challenging, chaotic, and gory. 3D terrain and the physics engine add tactical complexity, and the persistence of survivors between missions raises the stakes. Online play has Bungie's typical abundance of options, making Myth and its sequel 2 of the most popular multiplayer games of the late 90s. The game's soundtrack is the work of a new hire, Marty O'Donnell. Though a relative latecomer to the company, O'Donnell would soon become one of the most recognisable and popular of Bungie's rapidly growing team. Myth's success brings Bungie recognition among PC gamers, and leads to a sequel the following year. Myth 2 improves on its predecessor in every way. A less arcane interface, better graphics, new multiplayer features, and built-in editing tools that spur a mod community that will thrive for years. But the game's launch is overshadowed by a serious problem. Soon after the game ships, Bungie discovers that running the uninstaller could, under certain circumstances, wipe the hard drive. Even though most users would never encounter it, the company decides to fix their mistake. Bungie recalls 500,000 shrink-wrap boxes, and one at a time, employees replace the discs by hand. The total cost? $800,000. Consequently, despite selling better than the first, Myth 2 barely makes a profit. Ultimately, this blunder would change the fortunes of the company, but we'll get to that in a moment. Though they are now large and well known, Bungie have retained their culture, as well as their work ethic. During development of Myth 2, one designer doesn't leave the office for 8 days. His wife and daughter visit him at work. This culture of dedication produces results, but it's a pace that some can't deal with or aren't willing to. The next project will be Bungie's most ambitious yet, a third-person sci-fi action strategy game with open landscapes and vehicles that can be used to traverse large distances quickly.
We were at that time making what we thought was going to turn out to be a Myth-type clone with a sci-fi skin on it.
Blam was the code name for the project or the team at the time, sometimes called them Monkey Nuts.
But for its public unveiling, it will receive a new identity. Everything that Bungie had ever done had led to this. Years of hard work and long hours, their dedication to making each game better than the last, their loyalty to the Mac platform, and an extraordinary demo wins them a 4-minute spot in the prestigious Macworld keynote, introduced by none other than Steve Jobs.
But this is one of the coolest I've ever seen. Halo is the name of this game, and we're going to see, for the first time, Halo. Welcome, Jason. Thanks, Steve. Yep.
demo, running live on a Macintosh, is the talk of the show. For the first time, it looks like the Mac can be taken seriously as a gaming machine. Bungie's longtime fans are ecstatic. In the coming months, Halo evolves into the first-person shooter we're familiar with, but less than a year after Jason took the stage at Macworld, Microsoft makes a surprise announcement. They are the new owners of Bungie, and the fears of PC and Mac owners are confirmed with the first reveal of Halo's box art. Fans are stunned. Bungie is indie no more. The change in the company's direction is so complete that besides the port of Halo 1 that they'll contract out 2 years after the Xbox release, Bungie will never again release a game for the Mac. But why the reversal? What happened between here and here? Well, according to those who were there, because fixing Myth 2 was so expensive, Bungie are in trouble. It looks like they'll run out of money before Halo is finished. The man in charge of the Xbox, Ed Freeze, pays a visit to Bungie and offers to pay if they turn it into an Xbox game. He needs launch titles and thinks Halo would be a good one. But Bungie were like, "That's great, but how much will you give us for the company?" Ed goes, "We'll get back to you." Then someone at Bungie calls Phil Schiller at Apple. "We're selling the company. Are you interested?" Phil's like, "I'll get back to you." Phil takes it to Steve Jobs, but Steve's like, "No way, what would Apple do with a games company?" So Bungie go with Microsoft. When Steve gets word who the buyer is, he changes his mind, decides he does want to buy Bungie. But it's too late. The deal's done. And the rest of the story you probably know. Halo became the flagship of Microsoft's launch lineup for the Xbox and pretty much made the platform. There was Oni and several Halo sequels. Bungie bought their independence from Microsoft, made more sequels, got in bed with Activision, and destroyed our faith in Peter Dinklage. Today, they're one of the biggest successes in the industry, quite a long way from two guys putting boxes together in a basement. Alex Seropian left Bungie in 2004 and founded Wide Load Games, developing Stubbs the Zombie on the Halo engine. In 2009 he became Disney's Vice President of Game Development, but he quit in 2012 and started Industrial Toys. Their first game, Midnight Star, launched in early 2015 on the gaming platform that Apple eventually figured out, iOS. Marathon writer Greg Kirkpatrick left Bungie in '96 to start a new company, Double Ought. Bungie immediately hired them to make the third game in the Marathon trilogy. After Double Ought ran out of money working on an ambitious second title, Duality, Greg turned to science teaching and studied for a doctorate in geology. He may have left the industry, but the world building in Bungie's biggest titles is still heavily influenced by Greg's writing on Marathon. Despite being a key member of the Bungie team for years, after working on the soundtrack for Destiny, Marty O'Donnell was fired. Allegedly this was due to conflicts with the publisher, Activision, after they cut their own trailer without Marty's soundtrack. The acrimonious split was followed by a battle over money owed and a lawsuit for wrongful termination. It was settled out of court. In June 2015, Marty founded a new indie studio, Highwire Games, with several other ex-employees. Their first game, Golem, is a PlayStation VR title. And Jason Jones? He stayed. He was the lead designer on Destiny, and at the time of recording, is still the head of the studio, in one of the longest tenures of a game developer at a single company this side of the Pacific. With the Microsoft deal, Bungie traded a small but loyal fanbase for a much bigger one. Was that the right thing to do? Unquestionably, they could never have found the same success on the path they were on. But when I hear Bungie's employees talking about the importance of their community,
Bungie wouldn't be anything without its fans.
I know they mean it sincerely, but what about the loyal group of fans from the company's first 10 years? The people who loved Myth, Marathon, Pathways? They were the original community, but it seems like Bungie forgot about them a long time ago. thanks for watching Retro Histories. I'll see you again in the past. This project was a labour of love for me and it took a lot of time and effort. There are no annoying ads on the channel and there never will be, but if you enjoyed this video, I ask you a straightforward favour, please share it with people who you think might appreciate it so I can make more of this kind of thing in the future. And let me know in the comments or on Twitter @RetroHistories what other subjects you'd like to see me delve into.